Hey guys, Mary here, and today I'm talking personification. Now, I know you're wondering, Mary, slow down. I don't even know what personification is. Well, I'm sure you've seen it. So, have you ever imagined that your favorite toy or your family pet could do something like dance or sing or drive a car? Now, as funny as Otis driving a car sounds, that's personification. So, you all have probably experienced personification in one way or another, probably when reading other poems, or perhaps if you read at school fiction books or at home books with your family, they're probably going to have personification. Because have you ever read a book about a squirrel that went on a great adventure or a tree that was doing leaping? I mean, those are examples of personification. And personification is a form of figurative language. So figurative means that it's not actually real, it's like imaginary. So figuratively, we're saying that a tree can dance, or that my dog Otis can go to, I don't know, Antarctica? He probably could catch a plane and go to Antarctica, but he'd have to have a job to pay for it first. So today I'm going to read you a couple poems that have personification in it so you can get an idea of what I'm talking about. So today's poems that I'm going to read, I have two poems, and they're both by Mordecai Gernstein, and I want you guys to just sit back and enjoy the poems and see if you can listen for examples of objects or animals doing human characteristics. So pay close attention to these next two poems. So the first poem by Mordecai Gernstein is Toothbrush. All night, dozing in your holder, you wait for me. I give you toothpaste for breakfast, mint, your favorite flavor. Then you go to work in the foamy pink cave of my mouth, scouring and scrubbing, gargling your little song, shreds of carrot, pebbles of peanut, cracker crumbles hiding in cracks, all washed away. I rinse you off, and back in your holder you sigh and dry. As your day begins, you go back to sleep. So, what is the object or animal in this? You're like, duh, Mary, obviously it's an object. It's a toothbrush, right? So, in his poem, basically, Mordecai has made the toothbrush its own character, so it has actions that it's doing when it's getting up for the morning. Have you ever considered that what your toothbrush does when you're not hanging out with it? I hadn't. So let's go through some of the examples that Mordecai has in his poem. So one of the first things that stands out to me is dozing in your holder, you wait for me. So right off the bat, we know that the toothbrush has been sleeping. So obviously it has to get a good night's sleep so it's ready to go to work in the morning, right? So it's waiting for the speaker. So I'm imagining a little boy or a little girl that come bouncing into the bathroom in the morning, pick them up out of the holder, and, put on the toothbrush and get ready to go. So then the next example of personification is saying how the speaker is giving the toothpaste for breakfast. Well, obviously, if the toothbrush had to have breakfast, I think that toothpaste would likely be its number one food choice. So that's just another example of personification. Now, you could easily have just said, I woke up, I went to the bathroom, I picked up my toothbrush, and I put toothpaste on it, and I brushed my teeth. But isn't it more fun to say that your toothbrush was sleeping and you woke them up, and that you gave them their favorite flavor of toothpaste, whether it be mint in this case, or, mine is like vanilla. So that's just one way that we can bring everyday things to life. So moving on, another example is then you go to work. A toothbrush that goes to work? Is the toothbrush getting paid to clean your teeth? Could you imagine? That'd be really, really funny if you had to pay your toothbrush every time you went to brush your teeth. Because, you do it 3 times a day, so that's like, they're going to be making pretty much a lot of money. So that's just another way that Mordecai is like giving a human characteristic to the toothbrush. Because obviously toothbrushes don't really go to work, but we can consider when they're brushing our teeth, we can consider that to be work. Another example would be scouring, scrubbing, gargling your little song. So obviously these are examples of onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia is just another poetry term that speaks to words that kind of make the sounds that they are embodying. So when you hear scouring and scrubbing, gargling your little song, those are all things that the toothbrush are engaged in throughout this job of cleaning the teeth, right? So we can see the toothbrushes in there going hard at work, doing the scrubbing and the scouring, and it's even singing a little song. I wonder if it's like a hum or if it's just an outright, Taylor Swift song. But this is really interesting, I think, because it shows that the toothbrush has some personality, right? It's a hard worker and it likes music. It has its own little song that it enjoys singing. And oftentimes people do sing while they're working. So that's pretty consistent with a person might do. So I think the last thing I'm going to point out in this poem, and you guys can always go back and read it at any time. It's a really good one. But the last thing I'm going to point out is that Mordecai says that the speaker says that the toothbrush, you sigh and dry. And as the speaker's day begins, the toothbrush goes back to sleep. Now, how lucky is that toothbrush that it only has to work for about, 3 minutes in the morning, and then it can go right back to bed, get right back into its holder, and doze right off back to bed, which is where it started. So those are all examples of things that a human would do. A human can sigh, they can dry an item, a human sleeps, they hide, they scrub when they're cleaning, they gargle, and they sing little songs. They eat breakfast, and these are all things that the author had a toothbrush do. Okay, so now I really feel like you guys have a really good idea of what personification is. So I'm going to go over this next poem, and we're going to see what examples are in there. And I think you'll be surprised. They're going to just jump out to you, and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, Mary, I see the personification. So the next poem that I'm reading by Mordecai Gerstein is called Bowl. Bowl. You squat on the table with your big mouth wide open, full of nothing but light. You look up, begging, and I let loose an avalanche of crunchy flakes crashing down to fill you. You gargle happily as I pour in milk and introduce my spoon. We've met, you say. The spoon and I have fallen in love, and after breakfast, we're running away. Now, could you imagine a breakfast bowl and a spoon falling in love? But that is a great example of personification, right? Because as humans, we love, I love my dogs, and I love my friends, I love my family. So in this poem, we have a bowl that is loving a spoon, and they're gonna run away together. So that's just a very simple example of personification. Some other examples that stand out to me in this poem are that the bull is squatting at the table with a big mouth. Now, you and I both know that that bulls don't have mouths, right? But that's figurative language because it's not really true, but we're just figuratively saying that the bull has a big mouth because you can imagine a bull's opening like a big mouth, right? So when the speaker in this poem is going to pour the breakfast flakes into the bowl, but that's an easy way to say that. But isn't it more fun to say that you're pouring these flakes into a big mouth? Because you're considering that bowl to be a mouth. It's almost kind of funny if you consider the bowl eating your cereal that you're about to eat. So that's really funny. Also, just another example, the bowl is begging for that cereal. So oftentimes you do not hear a bowl beg for anything, or a plate beg, or a knife beg, or a spoon beg. So I think that anything that you can do as a human, just think, you can make any animal or item do those things. Okay, guys. Now that you know more about personification, I want to see what you can do. So now it's time for you to try it. So using human characteristics, take a object or your favorite animal or your family's pet and write a short paragraph, so like 3 to 4 lines, about what that animal or object does when you're not there looking at it. And then share it with your friends, share it with your family, and show them what you've learned about personification. Okay, guys, so now I'm going to read you the example that I've come up with from that exercise because you're my friends and I want to share it with you. And so you can continue to see personification and learn more about personification and share it with those you know. So my short story is called My Dog Otis, who you met earlier. Otis opened the fridge and found his favorite shredded cheese. He grabbed 2 paws full, winked at his boy Herschel, and said, "Mary Switch is in her room. Let's play Mario Kart before she gets home." The dogs drove circles around the racetrack while laughing with glee. "You know what, Herschel? Next time Mary takes a nap, let's grab her keys." The 2 high-fived on their plans, then watched some dog whisperer TV. Oh my gosh, my dogs are so crazy. But, I mean, they do give a lot of examples, a lot of material for personification. So they're like my little muses. Well, that's it for personification. Thanks for learning with me today, and I will see you guys next time.